by by education, everything, I'm a welding engineer at Steel Fab in Fitchburg, and I also happen to run the facility. So one of the things that Steve failed to mention is this is our 10th year participating in FIRST. This is FIRST's 20th year. And one of the things that, you know, what happens is over the course of the last several weeks or months, they'll throw out a tidbit of a clue. Now, we've seen plenty of clues in plenty of years where the clues mean absolutely nothing other than to get people thinking and energized about what's about to happen. There have been some years where little bits and pieces could be construed to try and link to the game. So this year, you know, there have been 2 clues, and I'm not sure how many people have or haven't seen them. And one of the things that Steve and I wanted to explain is that the program itself, in a sense, I'm not sure how many exactly have been exposed to it at all, but we have 6 weeks starting from today, where whatever they show us on that screen for the rules of the game, and what they're going to do is basically show us a little animated cartoon of their interpretation of the game. And what we have to do from this point forward today is learn the rules and the numbers that I've told the students and engineers, and I just constantly bark them the whole way through. 28 inches wide, 38 inches long, 60 inches tall, 120 pounds. Those are our numbers. Now, some people, that's no big deal. Thing is, FIRST takes it a little bit further from the standpoint, it is like the real world of business, because we're only going to have 6 weeks. You only have so much time, so much money, and then you want to try and play the game as well as you can. But when we get to the actual sites that we're going to compete at, we don't get to compete until they do a full inspection. They'll measure it, they'll weigh it, they'll review it to the electrical code, they'll check every item for safety. If you have one item, now we've seen it, first couple of years we were reading rules and interpreting to the 10th degree, so we made sure when we got to the site that everything was perfect. We since then take the pride that we're one of the first teams to get inspected without issue. We had one year where we bring that thing back to the pit, you know, we're overweight, we're looking at each other and we start cutting and drilling and doing whatever it took to get that thing back on the scale, and everybody's standing around it like expectant parents watching the number on the scale, or a wrestler trying to make weight. Comes in under 120 pounds, they give you the sticker, you get to play. That, you know, it starts to foster that idea of, you know, getting energized to compete. One of the things I think that Mac and I both have the same mindset is, over the course of time, we're not at the very bottom and we're not at the very top in terms of resources or money or stuff like that. This program, like I said, in Leominster, this is his and I and Jim Shermack. We're the last of the 3, or the remaining 3 of the original group that started. But this is a self-funded program for the most part for the students. Steve, myself, Mr. Shermack, we beat the bushes looking for companies to donate and stuff like that. With budgets and everything as tight as they are, we're very, very lucky to have companies like Raytheon and a variety of others that donate. Now, one of the people that's not here has been a very, very big staple in our group is Darlene. She runs and owns a company that they create and test software that the military uses for video games for warfare, but it teaches and trains the soldiers, but it kind of keeps track of the soldiers when they're in actual battle. Firefighters use it, a variety of people. She donates a lot of time and money as well, and she's one of the ones that's not here at the moment, but just to give you an idea of what really goes into it. There are teams that they have companies that donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. Him and I, one year, the first year we went to Nationals in Houston, We're standing in the parking lot waiting after we just finished registering and got all the kids in and everybody had a break. We're out in the parking lot and all of a sudden this huge trailer truck pulls up. It's painted like a NASCAR team would look. It was Team 66, Truck Town. They were sponsored by General Motors. They drove, the entire team drove from Michigan to Houston. They pull into the parking lot with this big trailer truck and we're like, holy cow. Here we are, we barely had t-shirts from Lemon stuff. So we watch them unload, they got their own fork truck. They start taking boxes and crates out of the truck. The vehicle that they used to move all their stuff in was a replica of the truck they drove in the parking lot. We're inside the venue, watching them go from match to match. They've got a little electric cart that a kid would sit on, and it was a replica of the other two trucks that they drove in on. And at first we were like, that's a little bit much, isn't it? You know. But when you walk from the Astrodome to Reliant Stadium, it was, no lie, it would be like almost walking from here to Carter Junior High and then walking to the top floor just to get to your match. When your match was done in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, you got to walk back. And then you did that, I don't know how many times a day. But anyway, we could see that that was useful. We had a push cart that the kids were taking turns. We, you know, at one point we looked like we were slave traders trying to push the cart back and forth. It was just unbelievably long. There are other teams that will be showing up at our venue with their robot in pieces. We had that happen to us one time in Boston. We were all done, all inspected, hanging out, nothing to do. Myself and another mentor walked by and we saw that they're all scrambling, their robots still in pieces. He said, hey, can we give you a hand? We got a handful of kids and a couple engineers and plenty of time. They said, we'd be delighted. There was a gentleman from Madison Park and he was a sole mentor by himself. At that point, we had no idea whether we would be against them or with them or whatever, but that's kind of the feeling and the thought that first fosters. Unlike business, where if Steve and I are competing companies, I'm working on a deadline project, and one of my